Hey guys, good morning. All right, hello, it is Anna Brooks here. Welcome to episode 2 of Anna's Attitude Adjusters. We're on to episode 2. Now let me have a play around. Might get rid of that filter because it's making me look way too pink. All right. Cool. Okay, so welcome to episode 2 of Anna's Attitude Adjusters. Now, if you missed episode 1, you can rewatch it. It'll be down a little bit further down the feed. However, you can also, I will also put down the link for YouTube because I have got them up on YouTube so you can rewatch them whenever you like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and that way you'll get notified as well when all the new episodes come up in case you missed them here on Facebook, right? So, welcome to episode 2. Now, this one is going to be a little bit about, as you can tell from the heading, it's about adjusting your weaknesses, basically to overcome them using your strengths. So, something that I was talking about a little bit this morning in my post-workout, and then I sort of had a bit more of a think about it later in the day, was basically about how we overcome things in terms of our weaknesses, and how sometimes we forget, well, the stuff that really bugs us, the stuff that really holds us back, maybe if we actually look to our strengths and how we've overcome similar things in other areas, this can help us, right? So let me explain what I mean, right? For me, for example, personally, there's areas of my life such as fitness that are just non-negotiable. They're so ingrained in me that it's an area that I'd never, ever slack on. It's just not really a possibility. It doesn't matter if I'm slacking off in other areas in terms of showing up, spreading, in terms of, creating my message for you guys and giving you guys content and all that kind of thing, or whether it's in terms of my health as well, like coming from a binge eating background, I still have a lot of vices and a lot of negative, leftover remnants of that binge eating, emotional eating sort of cycle. So that can also creep up. However, any of that stuff, that is all those things that I'm still challenged and I still have weaknesses around. But the fitness side of things is the thing that I don't have that weakness around anymore. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter how I'm feeling. It doesn't matter what else is going on and how difficult it may be. The fitness never stops. Me working out every single day, bar maybe, days when I'm feeling really, really sick, which isn't often, is just not a negotiable. It doesn't matter. Nothing else sort of matters, right? And so this idea of using this as a strength, right, to overcome my weaknesses is something that's really, really come through to me because, like I said, for me, in terms of consistency in other areas, and as you know, a big thing that I talk about all the time is consistency, right? It's about whatever you want, whatever goals you have in your forefront of your mind, whatever you are trying to achieve, having the consistency to get there and show up and do the work, whatever avenue that is, but to show up every day over and over and do it and rinse and repeat and keep going, even when you don't feel like it, even when the shit hits the fan, even when you just want to throw your arms up in the air and quit, even if it's for a day or a week or a month. And you can't, because that is actually what's going to stop you, right? Because if you don't have consistent action and consistent consistent action towards your goals, then you're not going to get very consistent results. If you only sometimes show up and do the work, then you're only going to sometimes get some kind of result, right? So if you're really focused on this goal that you have in your mind of what you want to achieve in terms of your health, your fitness, your career, your money goals, your relationship goals, whatever it may be, if you're only showing up and doing the work some of the time, then you're only going to get results some of the time. And that's probably not what your goal is. Your goal is probably much bigger than that. It's probably a lot more to do with having that lifestyle 24/7, of having that goal being your reality 24/7, right? So when it comes to using your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, one thing that I look at a lot is, well, let's look at one of my big strengths, which is fitness, in that I never ever stop looking after my body in terms of moving it, lifting things, doing whatever it is that I'm currently doing in my fitness, right? And it's just become ingrained. It's just become something that's now a non-negotiable, but it wasn't always this way. Okay. So back when I was much younger, before I started working out at the gym, I come from a Taekwondo martial arts background. That was my big thing. I hadn't even really exercised apart from that. I never got into sports really. I played a little bit of netball like here and there, but I wasn't by any means, very good at it or anything like that. Taekwondo was the first thing, and the martial arts was the first sort of form of exercise that I really found and that I was really consistent at. And that was really good because it's very easy when you're doing a martial art to actually see how you're progressing. It's very obvious. You have belt levels that you can that you can basically grade to, so you see how you're getting better. It's very good for someone like me, for someone possibly like yourself who likes tangible things to grab onto, to be like, okay, this is me progressing a level. This is me getting higher up this level, whatever it is, right? For someone like that, it's very helpful to actually have those tangible markers, basically, that you can go, yeah, I'm getting better at this, I'm getting better at this. But once I stopped martial arts, once I stopped competing and training in Taekwondo, and I discovered the gym, I had to build that consistency myself. Now, at first, that consistency was very much ingrained because I kind of had a reverse anorexia in a way where I was combating all of my binge eating with the exercise, right? So I was trying to basically out-exercise a bad diet, which I tell everyone now is not possible. And it's not. I don't think you'll ever hear anyone be able to tell you to the opposite, because it's just not possible. Unless your diet's really not that bad. But if it actually is that bad, you're never going to be able to out-exercise it, right? But regardless, whatever the motivation was at the time, I started to develop consistency. It was basically, at the time, a consistency of, well, I was going to binge eat probably that day if I hadn't already, so therefore I had to go to the gym and work off as much as I could of it, right? But when I started to actually heal myself and come out of this eating disorder, I realized that I'd already developed that habit, right? That consistency, that even if I wasn't binging, even if I wasn't overeating, I would still go to the gym. I would still have my workouts planned. I would still go and do them regardless, right? So that consistency is what gets you there. And that's something you hear me talk about all the time, is that you can have all of the wonderful motivational things. You can have, your spark aha moment where you go, yes, I'm going to just jump in. I'm just going to do it. It's going to be awesome. So excited. Can't wait to get started. You can have that, and that'll last like the split second that it came, basically. And then as soon as the shit hits the fan and it gets hard, you're going to find an excuse to get out of it, because you're going to be like, oh, well, I don't really want to do this now. I'm a bit tired. This has happened. I've got to do this. I don't have time. It's too late. I need more sleep. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And whatever excuse you tell yourself will sound legitimate in your mind, right? And that's the power of the weaknesses. So what it got to eventually, from just the act of showing up over and over and over and doing it, is that it became consistent. Even when I didn't feel like it, I accepted the fact that there were going to be days when the workouts didn't feel great, when I didn't make any PBs, when I basically even sucked at all of my previous PBs. I was just nowhere near them, or I just didn't put in the energy. I just knew that I wasn't there, whatever it was. I had days when the workout itself was really lackluster, right? And it still happens now. But I showed up and did it anyway. And that is what makes the difference. It is the showing up and doing it anyway, right? So what I learned, and this is something, because in the past, maybe, I don't know, it's probably been a month or so, and I've been doing quite a bit of journaling about it, and I still haven't, I think, really uncovered it too much, but I will let you guys know when I do, because I know I will. I know there's something going on right now about some changes, and it's put up a lot of barriers, a lot of resistance for me, right? And so one of those things with the resistance was that, I wasn't showing up and doing the work. So as you probably realized, there wasn't as many live streams going out. There wasn't really as many posts and stuff going out. I wasn't being as consistent anymore, right? And then this morning I was thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, how is it that in some areas like fitness, for me, I can just be so consistent, so on the ball, regardless how I feel, I will shut up and do the work because I know that it works if you work it, right? And then there's some areas where I don't. And I think that this is something that is so common in people like us, right? In people who are very driven, very motivated, very much go-getters. And in many degrees, I know that we are very black and white, I guess. As much as we try to see the grey and we try to see all the beautiful colours out there, we can be very black and white. We can be very all in or all out. There's no middle ground. We find it very difficult to get through when something isn't on, right? It's either on or off. There is no middle ground. And it's part of our nature, right? It's part of our personality. It's part of how we operate, which is fantastic because it's got so many strengths to it. It means that we absolutely die hard, apply ourselves to what we want every single time. However, when it gets to that point where it's something that we are slacking out on, something that we are not showing up and doing the action that we required, and we are making up excuses and just not doing it, when that sort of thing comes up, then you get that issue of, well, basically, well then you get stuck, basically, and you're not moving forward, right? So it comes down to looking at the areas, because that's the thing. I don't think it's everywhere for you, just like it's not for me. It's not, there are certain areas in my life that I'm sure you have as well, where it's just non-negotiable. You'll show up and you'll do the work regardless. It doesn't matter how you feel or what's going on. You'll still do it, right? But then there are some areas, which you would probably identify as your weaknesses, where you tend to fall apart easier, where you tend to kind of give up and move on and forget about it, and come up with excuses and believe your own excuses and all that kind of stuff, right? And so we've all got those areas, those weaknesses where it drags us down because we're like, well, why the fuck am I so in it and so committed and so basically just so strong and so fantastic in this one area or in these 2-3 areas, whatever it is? Why can't I just apply that to this other area that I'm still struggling with, that no matter what, I keep coming up against these resistance and against these roadblocks and all that kind of stuff, right? The truth is, it all comes back to consistency. It all comes back to the fact that in the areas that you consider your strengths, the stuff that is non-negotiable, the stuff that you do, regardless what you may think or otherwise, that stuff is your strengths. That stuff you still keep showing up and doing it because you understand that it is in showing up and doing it when you don't feel like it that the results come. It doesn't matter if you only show up and do things when you feel like it, when everything's 100% aligned and Jupiter's in the correct place and the dog didn't eat your homework and all that kind of stuff. That matters very little. Sorry. That matters very little compared to showing up and doing the work when Jupiter is not aligned, the dog did eat your homework, everything's hit the fan, you haven't had sleep in however many days, and blah, 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 blah. But you decide to show up anyway. You decide to decide because it is a decision. It's a choice. It's not something that some people just can do and some people just can't. It's a choice to decide that you're going to do it anyway, right? And so it comes down to applying this same sort of mentality to whatever it is that your weakness is, right? So whatever it is, as you'll find probably in your strengths, when you just show up and you take action, regardless of how you feel, things tend to move in the right way. You pick up momentum, you get back into your groove, things pick up, things get better again. You might stumble across something else later, you might falter, whatever, but you pick yourself back up and you keep going and you find that groove and you find that momentum again. Same thing for your weaknesses. I don't know why I'm coughing so much today. Sorry. Say hi if you're there, by the way. I'd love to know who's on and who is watching if you've got any questions or comments, okay? So, the thing is to apply this exact same thing, but to your weaknesses. So when you're in that moment where you're stuck, you're unmotivated, you can't seem to just get yourself to just pick up and do anything. Every time you consider starting something, you think, okay, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And every time you think about it, you just kind of go, nah, whatever. And you get distracted. You find another excuse. You find another distraction and off you go. When you find yourself in that situation, it's got to be exactly the same as what you use when you have your strengths, which is where you just pick an action and you go do it. Or even worse than, no, not even worse, even better than that is if you actually cannot even decide on an action, you're that far just into the lazy mode that you can't even decide on an action because everything just kind of makes you go, then just start doing something. Like for me, for example, as stupid as this sounds, cleaning the house is my trigger, right? So for some reason, I enjoy the feeling of actually having a clean house. I know, crazy, even though I don't clean it very often, but I do enjoy the idea that everything's just in its place, everything's neat, everything's clean. It makes me feel better, and it's something that I'm internally motivated to do. And so if I need to just basically start getting myself moving, start getting myself taking action, I will just go, okay, cool, well, I'm going to go clean the bathroom now, or I'm going to go vacuum everything, or whatever it is that I'm going to do, right? And that in itself, even though it's got nothing to do with what I'm slacking on, I'm still slacking off on, you know, doing my messaging or doing my sales work or doing whatever it is that I had other stuff to do. Okay. Even though I'm still slacking off on that, I am starting to take action in the sense of getting myself moving, getting my momentum flowing again. It's a hell of a lot easier, as you know, by the law of physics. It's a hell of a lot easier to keep something moving than it is to start something moving, right? So once you're actually going, even if it's not the exact direction that you want it to go, at least you're moving in a direction, and all you got to do is steer it a little bit towards where you want to go. So yeah, I start off cleaning the house, and then gradually, because I'm on a roll and I'm already happy and I'm doing stuff and I'm kind of back in this momentum of rolling along, I'll just veer off course a little bit and go do a blog, go do a live stream, whatever it is, right? But I'm already moving, I'm already there. I'm not having to get myself off the couch, off feeling lazy and shit and just sitting there doing nothing, to then have to force myself into that whole entire movement and everything like that. I'm already there. I'm already on a roll. I just needed to change course a little bit. That's all it is. And it's the same thing with any other avenue that you have where you have a weakness. You can start just by starting something, anything that doesn't have anything to do with what you actually know you should be doing. Start moving, start doing something, get yourself in some sort of action. So you're already rolling, you're already on your way, and then just steer yourself, right? Steer yourself towards where your actual goals, the tangible stuff that you want to get done is. And once you're on a roll, once you've got the momentum, once you're already moving, it's going to be so much easier to just shift direction a little bit and get yourself to where you want to go, rather than having to just sit there on the couch for the 10th day, 11th day, whatever it is, and try and go, okay, today is going to be different. Today I'm going to get up and do something. Today I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And having to actually physically be in that position where you're having to force yourself off to get started, right? It's so much harder when you do that. So don't consider it cheating. Consider it a tactic. Consider it a mindset hack. Consider it whatever the hell you want. An attitude adjuster, right? Consider it that, so that when you are in that position, you just got to do whatever you got to do to get yourself moving, right? I've said this before. I'm not perfect. I'm not 24/7 on and going and all that kind of stuff. I falter, I fall, I come up with absolute shit excuses and give myself, give into resistance and stuff for ages at a time. And it's absolute crap. And then, like I said, it comes with the territory of who we are, right? It comes with the territory of being quite intense people, type A personality. Sorry, but I need to drink some more water. See, here we go. I just got myself all worked up. And now I'm going to have to stop talking because I'm going to keep coughing. No, I will continue. But I will breathe. I probably haven't breathed enough. If you're there, say hi. Let me know how you're finding what we're talking about so far, if you've just tuned in, or otherwise, if you have any questions about what we're talking about. So let me finish up with what I kind of want to summarize with, right? So in terms of using your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, right? Remember what it comes down to. It comes down to the ability to stay consistent in taking action towards your goals, regardless of whether you feel like it, which is something that you are probably really good at when you're in your strengths, your stuff that you already feel like, yep, I just do this every day. It's just automatic. For me, it's fitness. For you, it might be, maybe you have a really good journaling practice. Maybe you have a really good meditation practice. Stuff that, whatever it is, you have something that for you is just a non-negotiable. It's just easy. It just flows. Even when you don't feel like it, even when shit hits the fan, you're just going to go follow through and do it anyway. we all have areas of that, right? So you identify whatever that area is for you. And then you identify, well, how do you get yourself moving in that area when you don't feel like it? How do you make it feel effortless? So for me, it's literally just, well, okay, I put on the coffee, I make myself my black coffee, I put on my gym clothes, and I walk out the door, and there's no ifs or buts about it. It's just, yep, heading to the gym, gonna do the workout now. That's just what's happening. And that's a lot of the time that what it comes down to is shutting off your brain to the point where you go, well, I'm not getting into this conversation with you right now about what I do or don't feel like. I am just telling you this is what we are doing. Get the fuck on board and get out of my way, right? And you feel strong and confident and able to do that when it's something around your strengths. But when it's something around your weaknesses is where we tend to flake off a little bit. So like I said, either use the same kind of tactic and just basically be like, well, brain, shut up, I'm going to make you start doing things. Or if you've already let yourself, like I have in the last kind of week, and well, not even a week, it's probably been a month or so, I kind of let myself get into this spiral of slowly getting lazier and lazier on certain things that I said I would follow through on. If you're already in that stage and you're kind of feeling like, okay, well, where do I even start? Start with something totally unrelated, but something that will get you going. So you always have things that in your life you kind of turn to when you're procrastinating on doing what you really want to do, but it's still kind of active and it's still kind of, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Productive. That's the word, right? So there's stuff that you will do that is still productive, that is still helpful, but that isn't really like what you know you should be, or what you want to be doing in terms of working on your goals, but it's stuff that's still productive. So for me, with the example I gave about like the house cleaning and stuff, like it's good. Like it's nice to have a clean house. It's not necessary. I don't need to do it today or tomorrow or the day after or whatever. But it's a nice thing and it's something that motivates me. And most importantly, it gets me off the couch. It gets me to start moving, gets me on a roll and into some momentum, so that when I feel like, yep, cool, I've got this momentum, I'm going, I really don't feel like sitting back down on the couch and doing nothing because I'm already on that roll. I've already picked up pace. And therefore I get to a stage where I'm like, well, okay, cool. Now all I have to do, I'm already, on a roll. I already have momentum. I'm already heading in a direction. All I got to do is change that direction even ever so slightly towards what I actually want to work on, whether it's, for me, whether it's my messaging or whether it's my content creation or whatever it is. And off I go into that, and it just flows from me, right? And it just starts again. But if I just sat there on the couch and just kept, for me personally, if I just kept journaling over and over and over and not actually taking any sort of action in terms of getting myself moving, well, then I wouldn't get very far. I would still be there days and weeks later because that's just the kind of person I am. And I dare say you're probably quite similar in that regard, right? If not, well, then it's pretty simple. You wouldn't be watching this if you were just able to kind of get yourself up off the couch in a split second and be on and back to it, then you wouldn't have this problem, right? But if you do have this problem because you are quite black and white, you are quite crazy, intense, type A personality, have to either be going or nothing, then you know what it's like when you hit the nothing and you kind of feel yourself falling back and falling apart, right? All right, so that I think is where we're going to finish for today's episode. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts or anything, comments, I'd love to know. So please feel free to post anything down below, say hello. If you think that this is something that someone that you know might really benefit from getting some training around as well, then please, I'd love you to share this as well and see who else we can help with this. That'd be fantastic. And that's about it. Hope you have a fantastic night and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.